Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story. She didn't pick a romantic restaurant or wait for a meaningful moment. Claire just looked up from her laptop on a Thursday night and said we needed to talk. I was reading a book, something about ancient Rome. She was probably drafting emails for her Abu Dhabi trip. We were in our apartment in Graduate Hospital, Philadelphia. Just another Thursday evening in our 4-year relationship. Nothing about the moment suggested what was coming. I think we should pause our relationship, she said, closing her laptop like she'd just suggested ordering takeout. I set my book down carefully, marking the page. Pause our relationship. Just for 2 weeks. While I'm in Abu Dhabi for this assignment. She finally looked at me, and I could see she'd been planning this. Rehearsing it. I think we both need some space to figure things out. Space. That word people throw around when they want freedom without consequences. When they want to test other waters while keeping one foot safely on shore. When they want to have their cake and eat it too, as my grandmother used to say. Figure out what things exactly? I kept my voice level, curious where she'd go with this. She shifted in her seat, and I caught it. That flash of annoyance that I'd asked a follow-up question instead of just accepting her terms. Us. This relationship. Whether we're still happy. Are you happy? I don't know. That's the point. She looked back at her laptop screen, even though it was closed. 2 weeks apart will give us clarity. Clarity. Another word that sounds profound while meaning absolutely nothing. I leaned back and studied her. This woman I'd been with for 4 years. When had she become someone I had to strategize around? So you want to pause our relationship while you're on the other side of the world for 2 weeks? Exactly. She looked relieved. No pressure. No expectations. Just time to breathe and think. What she didn't say, but what hung between us like humidity. No accountability either. No rules, no commitment. A free pass with a return ticket. The smart move would have been to argue. To demand real answers. To ask the 1,000 questions burning through my head. But I'd learned something about manipulation over the years. The person doing it always expects resistance. They've prepared for your anger, your hurt, your desperation. So I did something she wasn't ready for. Okay, I said. She blinked. Okay. Sure. If that's what you need, then okay. I picked up my book like we'd just agreed on which movie to watch. The confusion on her face was almost worth the gut punch I was feeling. She'd expected tears. Arguments. Maybe begging. Instead, I was reading about the fall of Rome with the emotional investment of someone checking the weather. You're okay with this. Her voice had an edge now. You're an adult. You know what you want. I met her eyes. 2 weeks, right? Your flight leaves Monday morning? Monday morning, yes. She was studying me now, trying to figure out what game I was playing. You're being weird about this. How should I be? I asked. You want space. I'm giving you space. Seems straightforward. The next 3 days were fascinating in the worst way. She kept circling back to it, like my acceptance bothered her more than resistance would have. She'd make comments about the trip, watch for my reaction, mention how long 2 weeks was, wait for me to crack. I didn't. Friday night, she started packing. I stayed in the living room, reading. She came out twice, lingering in the doorway like she wanted to say something. Both times, I just nodded and went back to the page. Saturday, I helped her organize travel documents. Printed her boarding pass. Made sure she had everything she needed. She kept watching my face for cracks in the facade. You're being really helpful, she said at one point. Why wouldn't I be? I just thought you'd be more upset. About what? You taking a work trip? About the pause. I folded one of her shirts. You asked for something. I'm giving it to you. That's how respect works. She didn't have a response to that. Sunday evening, her suitcase sat by the door. She'd set her alarm for 5 in the morning. I went to bed at my normal time, but sleep didn't come easy. I stared at the ceiling, processing what was really happening. She wanted permission to explore her feelings without risk. Wanted to see if the grass was greener while keeping me pruned and watered, ready for her return. But 2 could play the clarity game. Monday morning, I got up at 5. Made coffee without being asked. She stood by the door with her luggage, looking genuinely uncertain for the first time since Thursday night. So, I guess this is it, she said. Safe flight. I handed her a travel mug. Text when you land. She took it, her hand shaking slightly. Are you sure you're okay with this? I smiled. Not warm, not cold. Just a smile that gave away absolutely nothing. You wanted a pause. Have a great trip. She hesitated, then walked out. I watched through the window as she loaded her bags, got in the car, drove away. The moment her ride turned the corner, I closed the door and leaned against it. 2 weeks. She thought I'd spend them waiting by the phone, proving how much I needed her. She had no idea what 2 weeks of freedom could do to someone who'd finally stopped lying to himself. I pulled out my phone and texted Owen. We'd been close in college, then drifted when Claire made it clear she didn't like my friends. You free this week? His response came in under a minute. About damn time. Yeah, I'm free. What's up? The apartment felt different with her gone. Not empty, just honest. I spent Monday doing things I hadn't done in years. Slept until 8. Made bacon for breakfast. Put on music she hated. Left my coffee mug on the table without hearing a lecture about water rings. By Tuesday, the clarity she'd promised started hitting. Just not the way she'd intended. Owen came over with lunch from Jim's Steaks. She actually said pause? Like that exact word? Word for word. Brother, you know what this is, right? He set down his cheesesteak. This is her testing the waters while keeping you as backup. I thought the same thing. Hearing it out loud made it concrete. Yeah, I know. So what are you going to do? Good question. What was I going to do? Come to the gym with me, Owen said. There's this boxing place in South Philly. Been going there for a few months. Real old school spot. I haven't worked out in forever. Exactly. When's the last time you did something physical? Something that got your heart rate up for reasons other than anxiety? I couldn't remember. I'd had a gym membership years ago, but Claire had convinced me to cancel it. Too expensive, she'd said. Too time-consuming. Too much focus on appearance instead of substance. She preferred we take walks together, which really meant she talked while I listened. Let's go, I said. The gym was everything she would have hated. No smoothie bar with acai bowls. No yoga studio with meditation sessions. No influencers taking selfies between sets. Just heavy bags hanging from chains, worn speed bags, a ring in the corner, and people who actually broke a sweat. The place smelled like old leather and honest work. The trainer, a guy named Vinny, looked like he'd stepped out of a Rocky movie. Probably in his 50s, with scar tissue over his eyebrows and knuckles that had seen some action. Your friend says you've never boxed, Vinny said, sizing me up. Never. Good. No bad habits to break. He showed me basic stance. Feet shoulder-width apart. Knees slightly bent. Hands up, protecting the face. How to throw a jab without breaking my thumb. How to breathe with each punch. It felt good. Better than good. Felt like waking up after a long sleep. My muscles burned. Sweat ran down my back. My knuckles stung inside the gloves. But my head was clearer than it had been in months. You've got some natural aggression in there, Vinny said after 30 minutes. Keep coming back. We'll channel it right. That evening, Claire texted. With the 8-hour time difference, she'd landed that morning Abu Dhabi time. Landed safely. Hotel is incredible. Miss you. I stared at those 2 words. Miss you. They would have made my chest tight 6 months ago. Now they just felt like checking a box. Glad you made it safe. Get some rest. Short. Polite. Zero emotion. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally. That's it. I could feel her frustration through the screen. She wanted more. Wanted me to pour out feelings, ask questions, give her the attention she'd put on pause. What else should I say? The dots appeared and disappeared twice more. No response came. Wednesday, I went back to the gym. My body ached in new ways, but my head felt clearer than it had in months. Vinny worked with me on combinations. Left jab, right cross, left hook. Protect yourself, he kept saying. Keep your guard up. I saw the metaphor clearly. That afternoon, Claire texted again. Meetings are intense. How are you? Good. Staying busy. Busy with what? Just things. 3 dots. They danced on my screen for a solid minute. Nothing came through. Thursday, Owen invited me to dinner with his girlfriend Rachel. I hadn't seen Rachel in over a year. Claire always had reasons why we couldn't make it to their gatherings. Ryan, Rachel said when I walked in. It's been forever. I know. Sorry about that. Don't apologize. Claire called me yesterday, you know. I glanced at Owen. He shrugged. What did she say? Asked how you were doing. Whether you seemed upset. Rachel poured wine. I told her you seemed fine. Actually, really fine. How'd she take that? Not well. Rachel handed me a glass. She got quiet, then changed the subject. Friday morning, I did something I'd been thinking about since Tuesday. I called a therapist. Not couples counseling. Just for me. I found Dr. Patricia Holmes through a search for therapists in Philadelphia. She had an office in Rittenhouse Square, one of those old brownstones converted into professional spaces. Professional, but not stuffy. Books lining the walls. Comfortable chairs. A box of tissues that didn't feel judgmental. "Where's your partner?" she asked when I arrived for my first session. On a 2-week pause from our relationship. She wrote something down without judgment. "Tell me about that." I explained the situation. The request for space. My strategic acceptance. The growing clarity on both sides. How Claire was in Abu Dhabi right now, supposedly figuring out if she was happy, while I was here figuring out the same thing. "What do you hope to gain from these sessions?" she asked. "Permission, maybe. To trust my gut." Permission from whom? From someone objective, I guess. Someone who can tell me if I'm seeing this clearly or if I'm just being defensive. We talked for 50 minutes. About patterns I'd been ignoring for years. How Claire controlled my friendships through subtle guilt trips. How she dismissed hobbies as distractions from our relationship. How she had opinions on everything from how I dressed to how I spent my free time. How this pause was maybe the ultimate control move, testing whether I'd wait around like a good boyfriend while she explored her options. "Give me an example," Dr. Holmes said, "of the control dynamic." Last year, I mentioned wanting to take a weekend fishing trip with Owen. Just 2 days. She turned it into a 3-day argument about how I wasn't prioritizing our relationship. Eventually, I just dropped it. Wasn't worth the fight. And how did that make you feel? Exhausted. Like every single thing I wanted to do required a negotiation. Like I was constantly defending my right to have interests outside of us. "Do you think she's coming back expecting to find you grateful?" Dr. Holmes asked. "Yeah, I do. I think she expects to find me broken down, relieved she's giving me another chance, ready to accept whatever terms she sets." "And what do you want to find when you look in the mirror 2 weeks from now?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. Someone who respects himself. She nodded slowly, like I'd given the right answer. "That's a good goal. Let's work toward that." Saturday, Owen hosted game night at his place. Just a few people from our college days. People I hadn't seen in years because Claire always had reasons why we couldn't make it. Work obligations. Headaches. Feeling overwhelmed. Need for quiet time together. Always something. I walked into Owen's apartment and felt like I'd stepped back in time. There was Mike, who'd lived down the hall from us freshman year. Sarah, who'd been in our study group. Ben, who I used to play basketball with every Sunday morning until Claire said Sunday mornings were our time for brunch. "Ryan," Sarah said, pulling me into a hug. "Where the hell have you been?" "Long story. Claire still keeping you on lockdown?" Mike asked, then caught Owen's warning look. "Sorry, man. That was out of line." "No, it's accurate," I said. "But she's in Abu Dhabi for 2 weeks, so I'm on parole." We played cards, told old stories, laughed until my stomach hurt and my face ached from smiling. Mike told the story about the time we tried to cook Thanksgiving dinner in our dorm room and set off the fire alarm. Sarah reminded us about the study session that turned into an all-night philosophical debate about whether hot dogs were sandwiches. Ben brought up the basketball tournament we'd won senior year, playing hungover on 3 hours of sleep. I'd forgotten what this felt like. Being around people who actually enjoyed my company without making me earn it. Without keeping score. Without sighing when I laughed too loud or talked too much. Just existing without having to monitor myself constantly. Around midnight, as people were leaving, Sarah pulled me aside. "It's good to see you smile again," she said. "Really smile. Not that tight smile you had at Claire's birthday party last year." Was it that obvious? To anyone paying attention, yeah. She squeezed my arm. "Don't let her make you small again, okay?" I drove home thinking about that. Don't let her make you small again. As if she'd already done it once, and everyone had noticed except me. Sunday, Claire requested a video call. 2 in the afternoon my time, 11 at night for her. She looked tired when she answered. "Stressed. I haven't heard much from you. Been busy. How's Abu Dhabi?" "Interesting. The work is challenging." She paused. "I've been thinking about us. And I guess I expected you to be more affected by this pause. You wanted space. I'm giving you space. You're being distant. I'm respecting your boundaries. That's what you wanted, isn't it?" She looked frustrated. "I'm starting to wonder if you even care about this relationship." And there it was. The trap. If I said I cared, I'd be the desperate boyfriend she could manipulate. If I said I didn't, I'd be the villain who gave up without trying. I care about being in a relationship where both people want to be there. I said, do you want to be there? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Then figure it out. You've got 1 more week. We ended the call shortly after. She looked more confused than when we'd started. Monday, I went back to Dr. Holmes. She called yesterday, accused me of being distant. How did that make you feel? Honestly, validated. She wanted the freedom to question everything while I stayed frozen in place. Exactly. Dr. Holmes set down her pen. She wanted a pause for her, but freeze for you. The words clicked into place. That's exactly what it was. Have you thought about practical matters? She asked. Finances, living situation? Our lease is up in 2 months. Both our names. You might want to start looking at options, not as an attack, but as self-respect. Tuesday, I looked at apartments in Northern Liberties. Our current lease was up in 2 months, both our names on it. I could have just stayed and assumed she'd leave, but I wanted something clean, something that was mine from the start. The real estate agent showed me 3 places. The first 2 were fine, generic, but the third one stopped me in my tracks. 1 bedroom in an old factory conversion, exposed brick walls, high ceilings with original beams, big windows letting in natural light, hardwood floors that creaked in the right way, a small balcony overlooking the street. It's got character, the agent said. Previous tenant was an artist. Added a lot of personal touches you'd have to paint over if you don't like them. I like them, I said, running my hand along the brick wall. I'll take it. Don't you want to think about it? Talk it over with someone? No, I'm sure. I put down the deposit right there. First month, last month, security. It hurt the bank account, but it felt right. Felt like a fresh start. Like something that was completely mine. Move-in was 4 weeks away, which would be about 10 days after Claire's scheduled return. Perfect timing, really. I didn't tell her. Didn't mention it in texts or during our video call. This was my decision. My future. She'd asked for space to figure out what she wanted. Well, I'd figured out what I wanted, and it included walls that were mine to paint, floors that were mine to scratch up with furniture I actually liked, windows with a view that I'd chosen. That night, she called. Not texted. Called. Hey, she said when I answered. The background noise suggested she was in a restaurant or bar. Hey, everything okay? I've been thinking about us. About what you said. She sounded different. Uncertain. I think I made a mistake. What mistake? Asking for this pause. I miss you. You have 4 more days. Use them to think clearly. You sound so calm. Like you don't care if I come back. I care. But I won't beg. That's not who I am. You've changed. Maybe. Or maybe you're just seeing me clearly for the first time. Silence on her end. Then, I'm coming back early. Thursday. Your flight was supposed to land Sunday. I moved it up. I'm cutting the trip 3 days short. We need to talk in person. After we hung up, I sat there processing. She was coming back early. 3 days ahead of schedule. The panic was real. Owen came over Wednesday night. Brought pizza. Rachel told me Claire's coming back early, he said. Monday afternoon. You ready? Yeah, I think I am. What are you going to say? I thought about it. About the apartment I'd rented. About the clarity I'd found. About who I'd become in just 10 days. That I deserved better than being kept on pause. Thursday, Claire's messages came rapid fire. Photos of Abu Dhabi. Long texts about her day. Questions about mine. Each one more desperate for engagement than the last. I responded to all of them. Brief. Polite. Emotionally neutral. And with each short response, I could feel her panic growing across 8,000 miles. Friday, Rachel called. Can we talk? About Claire? We met at a coffee shop in Rittenhouse. She looked uncomfortable. She called me last night. For 2 hours, Rachel said. About you. How you've changed. How she thinks she's losing you. Rachel stirred her coffee. She wanted you to fight for her, Ryan. Fighting for someone and letting them manipulate you are different things. Rachel nodded slowly. I know. I just thought you should know where her head's at. She's landing tomorrow afternoon. Around 3. Saturday, I cleaned the apartment. Not for her. For me. Went through the closet and realized how little was truly ours together. Most things were hers or mine. Not much in between. She texted, landed, settled into a hotel near the airport. Can I come by tomorrow to talk? Sure. What time? Afternoon. Around 3? I'll be here. Sunday morning, I went for a long run along the Schuylkill River Trail. Let my mind settle. The decision had been made, really, made itself over these 2 weeks. I just needed to follow through. That afternoon, I got ready. Apartment was clean, but not obsessively so. My boxing gloves sat in the corner. New running shoes by the door. The space had a different energy now. Claire arrived at 2:45. 2 massive suitcases. Hair shorter. Clothes new. She looked exhausted. "Hey," she said, dragging her bags inside. "Welcome back. How was the flight?" She looked around the apartment, taking inventory. "It feels different here." "Does it?" Her eyes landed on the boxing gloves. "You're boxing now?" "Started last week. Want some water?" We sat down. Distance between us on the couch felt deliberate. Natural. "I made a mistake," she said. "Which one?" She flinched, asking for the pause. "All of it." "Why was it a mistake?" "Because I thought space would help me figure things out, but it just made me realize what I could lose." "What changed?" 2 weeks ago, you needed to see if you were happy. I talked to Rachel. She said you seemed different. Happy. She looked at me, and that scared me. Scared you that I was happy? Scared that you were moving on without me. There's a difference between moving on and just moving, I said. I've been moving, growing. So where does that leave us? I don't know. Where do you want it to leave us? I want to work on this. I want us to try. Try what? Going back to how things were. No. Better. We could be better. I leaned forward. Claire, these 2 weeks taught me something. I've been smaller in this relationship. Quieter. Walking on eggshells around your moods and opinions. That's not fair. I never asked you to be smaller. You didn't have to ask. You made it clear what you approved of and what you didn't. I started listing examples. Owen. The gym membership I'd canceled. Weekend plans always on her terms. Hobbies dismissed as distractions from us. You're keeping score now? I'm seeing patterns clearly. She pointed at the boxing gloves. So this is your rebellion? Boxing? It's not rebellion. It's me doing something for myself. You could have done that while I was here. Could I? Without commentary about wasted time or bruised knuckles or how I'm prioritizing punching over our relationship. Silence. She knew I was right. You didn't want a pause, I said. You wanted insurance. What? You wanted freedom to explore how you felt without the risk of me being gone when you figured it out. But pauses work both ways. While you were figuring things out, so was I? Her face confirmed everything. So you're done? You've given up on us? Her voice cracked. I haven't given up, but I won't go back to being someone who needs permission to exist. I never made you ask permission. You did. Maybe not consciously, but you did. And this pause showed me what life feels like without that weight. What do you want from me? She asked. Honesty. About why you really asked for this pause. Long silence. She looked at her hands. I needed to know if I could be happy without you. And I don't know, but I know I don't want to lose you. Those aren't the same thing. She started crying. So what now? I think we need actual space. Not a pause. Real separation. For how long? I don't know. Until we both know what we actually want, not what we're afraid of losing. Where will I go? Rachel's? Your sister's? I can help you pack. She stared at me. You've already decided this. No. You decided it 2 weeks ago. I just stopped arguing against what you already knew. The next few days blurred together in a strange way. Claire stayed with Rachel. Came back Tuesday morning to pack her belongings from our shared apartment. Clothes from the closet. Toiletries from the bathroom. Books from the shelves. The process was quiet and tense, but civil. We moved around each other like dancers who knew the choreography but didn't want to be performing it. This feels so final, she said at one point, folding a sweater into a box. It feels honest, I replied. She tried everything over the next week. Texting, calling, long apologetic messages at midnight, accusations of coldness at 3 in the afternoon, bargaining attempts. What if we did counseling together? What if we set boundaries? What if we started fresh? Each message more desperate than the last. I responded once, keeping it simple. I think space is what we both need right now. Real space. Let's give it time. The following Friday, a week after she'd returned, she asked to meet. Suggested a coffee shop in Fishtown, neutral territory away from our old routines and familiar places. She had notes on her phone when I arrived. I could see them as she scrolled through, preparing her argument like she was about to present a case. I've been thinking a lot, she said after we ordered. We sat outside, morning sun filtering through the trees, traffic passing by on the street. Normal life continuing around us. I listened. I know I've been controlling, she said, reading from her notes. I'm working on it. Seeing a therapist, actually. I never meant to make you feel small. We have 4 years together. That's worth fighting for. I love you. I know that now more than ever. I believe you love me, I said carefully. But love isn't enough when it comes with conditions. When it requires me to be someone smaller than I am. You wanted me to wait on pause while you figured things out. That's not partnership. That's not even friendship. And when I didn't wait, when I grew instead, when I found myself again, you panicked. Not because you missed me, but because you lost control. That's not true. That's not fair. Then why did every part of me that wasn't about us have to shrink? Why did Owen disappear from my life? Why did I cancel a gym membership? Why did weekends always revolve around what you wanted to do? Why did my hobbies become distractions instead of interests? She had no answer, just stared at her coffee getting cold. I signed a lease, I said. New place in Northern Liberties. Move-in is in 3 weeks. Fresh start. You're really leaving. It wasn't a question. We both left, Claire. I'm just making it official. Making it clean. What about our lease here? I'll pay my half through the end of the term. You can stay or find something else. Whatever works for you. She looked up at me, really looked at me, maybe for the first time in years. I hate that you're doing this. I know. You're going to regret it someday. Maybe, I said honestly. But I'd regret staying more. I'd regret going back to who I was. I'd regret teaching myself that love means making yourself smaller. We sat in silence for a while. The coffee shop buzzed around us. People laughing, ordering, living their lives, moving forward. I guess this is it then, she finally said. Yeah, I think it is. 3 weeks later, on a Saturday morning, Owen showed up with his truck to help me move. We loaded boxes, furniture, everything I'd separated from our shared life. The boxing gloves. The books that were actually mine. Clothes. Kitchen stuff I'd bought before we moved in together. How you feeling? Owen asked as we carried my mattress down the stairs. Lighter, I said. Literally and figuratively. The new apartment in Northern Liberties was small but perfect. 1 bedroom. Exposed brick. High ceilings. Windows that let in real light. We got everything inside by early afternoon. Owen brought beer and pizza to christen the place. To new beginnings, he said, raising his bottle. To self-respect, I replied. We drank to that. The weeks rolled forward with a rhythm I hadn't felt in years. Natural. Unforced. Mine. Boxing became more than routine. It became therapy. Vinny moved me beyond basics into real training. Footwork. Defense. Combinations that required thinking 3 moves ahead. I sparred with other guys at the gym. Took some hits. Learned how to protect myself while staying in the fight. You're getting good at this, Vinny said one Thursday evening, after I'd held my own in a 3-round session. Natural instincts. You see openings most people miss. Feels good to hit back, I said, more honest than I'd intended. He nodded like he understood completely. Boxing's not about anger, though. It's about control. Channeling energy into precision. You're learning that. I made real friends at the gym. Not just Owen, but guys like Carlos who worked construction, and James who taught high school history, and Terry who ran his own landscaping business. Different lives, different backgrounds, but all showing up to work on themselves. To get better. To channel something. We'd grab food after sessions sometimes. Talk about life, work, relationships. Nobody knew about Claire. Nobody asked. They just knew me as Ryan, the guy who'd started showing up a few months back and hadn't quit yet. Work improved too. I had energy for it again. Focus. Creativity. My boss noticed. Whatever you're doing differently, keep doing it, she said during my quarterly review. Your work's been exceptional lately. I started dating casually. Nothing serious. Just coffee dates. Walks through Rittenhouse Square. Dinners at restaurants I'd always wanted to try, but Claire had vetoed. Getting to know people without the weight of expectations or the pressure of performing. Learning what I actually liked in conversation, in company, in connection. Claire texted occasionally during those first couple months. Brief messages. How are you? Thinking about you. Miss what we had. I responded politely. Briefly. Never cruel, never cold, just honestly distant. She asked to meet once, about 6 weeks in. I declined as kindly as I could. I need more time. I'm not ready for that yet. Her response came hours later. Will you ever be ready? I didn't answer that. Didn't know how to. Some questions don't have answers yet. Only time can provide them. Eventually, the texts stopped coming. 3 months in, she went quiet. I felt relief more than loss. Like setting down a heavy bag I'd been carrying so long I'd forgotten what my shoulders felt like without it. 6 months later, I was getting coffee at Reading Terminal Market on a Saturday morning. Turned and nearly bumped into her. "Oh, hey," she said. "Hey, how are you?" She looked different. Tired. Older. "I'm okay. You look good." "Thanks. I feel good." Awkward pause. "I heard you're still boxing." "Yeah. Competing in amateur circuit now." "That's great. Really." "I've been thinking about us," she said. "I finally understand what you meant. About space." "Good. I'm glad. Are you seeing anyone?" Casually. "Nothing serious yet." "You?" "No. Not yet." "I should go," I said, not unkindly. "Yeah. Me too." She hesitated. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About all of it." "I know. Me too." She walked away. I watched for a moment, then turned back to my coffee. Owen texted, "Gym in 30? I'll be there." I walked through the market, watching people live their lives. Couples, families, individuals. I realized I was content. Not lonely, just alone. And that felt right. She'd called it a pause, like our relationship would just sit where she left it, waiting for her to press play again. But pauses don't work that way. Life doesn't freeze. People don't stop growing just because you need them to. I'd spent 12 days building something new. Not out of spite or revenge, just out of necessity, out of self-respect. And I never looked back. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.